I'm here to help women reset and rewild, to embrace and prioritize the pauses in order to reclaim their peace and power. I'm Dr. Michelle Paris, director of the Poppy Clinic and founder and CEO of the Wild Collective. As a disruptor, naturopathic doctor, wife, and mama, I've created a global movement and sacred space for women to rise together. Here, you'll break through limitations, romanticize your life, and unlock the magic of your divine feminine power. My life's work is rooted in community, lifting women into their most powerful, authentic selves, while empowering clinicians to elevate their practices with a transformational, community-driven model. I lead a thriving, passion-fueled business and naturopathic practice brimming with abundance, where I can guide women to invigorate their lives through sisterhood and elevate healthcare with a cutting-edge transformational approach. I've witnessed firsthand in my practice how this model sparks consistent health transformation, creates flourishing communities, and brings profitable success. You can have it all, a life filled with abundance, contagious joy, and untethered potential. So pull up a seat. It's time to pour into yourself and tap into your intuition and design a life that's wild, free, and uniquely yours. And I'm going to show you how. This is Wild Medicine.
All right, Dr. Tara, we are back. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm excited to be here. How are you?
I am also great and excited to be here talking about one of our favorite subject matters today, talking all about metabolic health and our clinical focus with respect to helping patients in weight loss and our SHED program. And so we were chatting about topics to unpack, and you brought one of the most important conversations that we have with our patients on a day-to-day basis, which is really, helping our patients discern different types of hunger, because not all hunger sensations that we experience are true food hunger. So I'm going to let you, define and explain these different types of hunger, and we'll dive in and how we support people in better understanding of this.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those that don't know, there are 3 types of hunger. So the first one is stomach hunger. And we'll riff on all of these, but the first one has to do with truly feeling hungry. Stomach hunger is where you need food and where food really does satisfy that hunger. And then there's 2 other types of hunger that we talk less about and are maybe a little bit more unknown. One being head hunger, which is really about habitual eating. So it's patterned eating, like I sit on the couch at 8 p.m. and watch TV and have my chips or have my sweet treat. Like it is that habitual hunger. And then the last one is heart hunger. And heart hunger is using food to cope with challenging feelings. And it can be not challenging feelings as well. It can be like celebratory and things like that. But often when we talk about heart hunger, it's filling that emotional void, right? Feeling lonely or overwhelmed or just, unhappy for whatever reason, and using food as a means for dopamine or for kind of creating that happy sensation or creation of those hormones in the body. So those are the big 3 types. And yeah, should we start with stomach and really dive into that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think for, a good portion of our patients, when they come to us, they feel genuine confusion, which I have to admit I did as well at, at the height of my burnout. And I clearly wasn't getting it. It's how I ended up gaining 30 pounds over a few years. And at that point I had initiated a workout plan and wasn't working. So something was very confused in terms of the sensations I was experiencing. At that point too, I'm just going to bring this up because I thought this was really, really interesting, but I dabbled in different types of nutritional strategies before I ever found SHED. I used to do juice fasts, like 1 to 2 times a year. I would do like a 3-day juice fast. And part of that had to do with convenience. There was a yoga studio below one of my prior clinics, and they would set it up. So I would just invest and pick up my juices, and it was a very, very easy thing to adopt and learn from. And that was really great information in terms of understanding stomach hunger, and challenging those pieces, because when I wasn't eating, I had to sit with different sensations without being able to provide my most natural solution, which would be to eat. And my very first juice fast, I remember feeling like there was always some kind of angst around food or scarcity of it, which is quite unfounded. It's not like I grew up with food scarcity as a stressor in my early childhood years. We always had food in abundance and surplus, actually, and lots of really yummy tasting foods, which probably did perpetuate some of the problems. But I didn't struggle with food scarcity, but I feared it for some reason. And I see this in a lot of patients too. Like, we're afraid to feel hunger sensations. And so as soon as there are sensations in our body, we get really, really scared. And one of the things I learned in a juice fast, I'm just sharing this as I know we're expanding on stomach hunger, but I don't want to forget to share it, is that I actually would then drink glasses of water because I was in a fast, and that was the option, and the sensation would go away. And I remember learning a lot from that experiment. It's like, how often are we confusing actual hunger with thirst? And I think for a lot of people, especially in a world that is overly dependent on trackable data pieces like Oura rings and Apple iWatches and all the things, is that we're like unsure. We got so untethered from our own innate nature. We're like, I don't know, am I hungry? Am I thirsty? Am I sad? We are genuinely confused, which is why we're actually, if you turned on this episode and we're like, why are we covering hunger? That seems so obvious. It's absolutely not obvious. And it's become, in the world that we exist in now, it's become increasingly more not obvious. We don't trust ourselves. And so a huge part of the work that we do is helping people retrain and be attuned to their own body's sensations and really having this level of discernment.
Yeah.
And so true stomach hunger is this sensation. Often stomach growling is one of the sensations. I used to, before protein adequacy, I would get a low blood sugar sensation. So my blood sugar would immediately drop and I would get sweats and shaky, and I'd have to sit and I would tell everyone I'm having a hypoglycemic moment. And my family would say that it adds to the drama that I add to the home. But it was a very immediate, this needs to be addressed. And that is abrupt. Normal hunger tends to come on gradually, like, oh, I think I'm getting ready to eat. Like, it's a gradual experience. That's probably from the sugar problems I used to have, protein insufficiency that would have contributed to that spike, because that no longer happens. I never have those sensations anymore, which is super cool. I have real hunger, but the dropping of blood sugar no longer happens. Feeling shaky, irritable, headaches. Would eat anything, not just something specific, means like true hunger, you need to be fed. And that is such an interesting thing when we talk about this like intuitive eating piece. It really, real true hunger, when there's very little inflammation in the way, actually does crave protein and vegetables, like nutrient dense foods. So if that isn't happening, that's one piece of information for people to say, isn't that interesting that I actually am not driven to eat the thing that would actually sustain me and energize me and help me feel very, very good, like thriving from that. Yeah. Anything else you would add to the stomach hunger piece?
I just wanted to add back what you were saying about like the wearable devices and all of that. And, and we talk about health simplicity, right? And that is such a big part of Shed, is like helping you understand your body. And I think that sometimes with these wearables, it's almost sometimes too far, where we're outsourcing intuitive knowledge about our body, right? It's like we look at our ring to tell us if we slept well or not. It's like, well, how do you feel? Do you feel rested? Right? Like we're almost like we're outsourcing our own knowledge about the inner workings of our own body. And I think that that's where, like you said, like maybe this seems simplistic talking about hunger, but we are really detached from so many aspects of our body's functioning because we're outsourcing so much of this. So actually being able, like, I think, if an Oura ring or Apple Watch could tell you you're hungry, that's, like we would outsource that, right? Instead of actually looking inside and being like, what do I need right now? Like, am I truly hungry? Is this a true hunger sensation, or does my watch just tell me it's time to eat? right? Like
Right.
actually tuning in to what those sensations are is it's so important. It's yeah, it's and I think when we were chatting about the stomach hunger too, this is a sensation that goes away after you actually eat something. And eat something that is, ideally protein rich, like feeding what your body actually needs. But comparing that to the other hungers, heart hunger doesn't go away after you eat, right? You might enjoy the chips or the chocolate or whatever it is in the moment, and when you're done, you're still lonely and you're still overwhelmed and you're still sad, right? Or even with the head hunger and wanting like that habit or wanting like that salty taste. It's not just like one chip. It's like that sensation is still there. That craving is still there. So that's what's also unique about that stomach hunger is once you've done that thing, that hunger is now quiet. And that's a
Mhm.
really good indicator as well.
Yeah, I'm just gonna circle it back and then we can expand on it. But we read one book in Wild Collective and it talks about think about how bizarre it would be for our grandmothers to be
Mhm.
about hydration. No,
Mhm.
they drank water when there was access to water and when they were thirsty, and they stopped when their thirst was quenched, right? It's not it, but we've come to the point now where we actually need to put elastic bands on our water bottles or set a timer on our phone. We are so disconnected from our hydration, one of the most vitally important pieces for our body to function optimally, that we're outsourcing that wisdom. And a huge part of what we're trying to do in supporting patients in the shed is to come back into that attunement piece, because it's vital that you understand that information. It's cool to have an Oura ring. I want to know what your HRV is, your heart
Mhm.
rate variability. I want to know that you're deep sleeping. All those pieces are cool pieces of data, but
Yeah.
it never should be relied on more heavily than what you're actually experiencing in your own body. And so we have come to this really dangerous, unnatural state of health where we have outsourced everything and we have convenienced everything, that becoming healthy feels very inconvenient, and being attuned to our body's sensations is almost foreign.
Mhm.
And this is where things can get really confusing as well, like, not to add a piece, but, like, also putting in question with how the modern day world is functioning, right? Like, when teachers tell me I don't drink because I can't have bathroom breaks, or right? Like, there are complexities and there are considerations that we need to make, but also the most important thing is that we become attuned to our body. We can navigate a world, or we can work with as much as we can work with, but the invitation is to start to become aware of these sensations so that we know how to navigate them appropriately, so that we can then take an empowered stance on our own personal journey and not get influenced by everything that's going on or with the world around us, thinking that the solution is outside of ourselves, because it's not. Spoiler
Mhm.
alert, it never was and it never will be. It is coming back home to ourselves and being sure that we know how to navigate this with a level of clarity and self-awareness, so that we can go, okay, I actually had a rough day. It is 8 p.m. I'm likely not hungry. Something else is going on here. What are the other tools that I've talked about with my practitioners in order to be able to see if I can move through this sensation
Mhm.
without collapsing or abandoning the things that I say that I value or want? Because
Yeah.
that's really what's on the line here, is like, hunger is the sensation we're talking about, but hunger and how we respond to that is really what shows us about how you tend to navigate through things, how you manage and cope with stress or difficult moments or poor sleep, or right access to certain things. This is really good information. So when we understand that stomach hunger can come on slowly, there are physical sensations that it is time to appropriately respond to it, and they go away once we've actually responded with the appropriate intervention, which is food. We like now get comfortable with navigating that piece. If that's not what is going on here, we can then move into what head hunger looks like.
Mhm.
So I'll define that a little bit
Mhm.
for us. So head hunger is this thought-driven mental hunger or scheduling, right? So I always do this, so I'm hungry at this time. I was saying to Tara, like, I have like an 8 p.m. sensation that I
Mhm.
should have something or something, right? And so sometimes I actually am hungry,
Mhm.
because I worked out more or I didn't fuel adequately throughout the day. And sometimes I actually just need to go for a walk. I need to create a new habit. Certain things that habituated, I think you said it. Head hunger is very habituated hunger. I
Mhm.
always done it this way. Therefore, I feel this drive to or desire to want to act in this way.
Yep.
And the thing is, when we are on a health optimization journey of any kind, but weight loss in particular, there's going to have to be new habit changes that are going to have to be sat with and challenged, and new tools and interventions are going to have to be provided in order to start to create new patterns and habits. Because if we default back to where we did what we used to always do, we tend to go back to the same behaviors and patterns that we were also acting in that level of awareness, right? So we really do need to challenge these pieces if we really want that long-term safe and successful maintenance. We really need to challenge these areas and find new tools and interventions. So head hunger, it's 9 p.m. I always have something sweet. Usually that I would say, and I'm sure you would agree, like
Mhm.
one is it's a sign that we probably underfueled the rest of our day, but or we've not given ourselves a break and now
Mhm.
it's become like a reward. But
Yeah.
evening eating is a hard habit to break for people if they're unwilling to look at that. So that habituated head hunger is a very real piece of this puzzle that needs to be challenged and needs to be brought to your practitioner. If you're like, I'm very aware I'm doing this, I
Mhm.
probably need new strategies. Like that is something that's very common. I would say most people engage in this type of evening snacking behavior, especially because Netflix and chill was so normalized, and
Yeah.
daily alcohol consumption and mummy wine culture, all of that got normalized somewhere along the way. And now it's almost abnormal to not
Mhm.
behave in these or engage in these habits.
Yeah.
Being consumed like there are cookies in the kitchen, so like not being able to have like that ability to untether from foods. I deserve this. I already messed up today. Food will make this better. Eating because food is there or eating out of routine. I think this is where we see habituated hunger act out the most. Eating because of bored or stress planning. This head hunger is sudden,
Mhm.
specific, like the food that you desire is a very specific choice, not satisfied by a normal meal. So not satiated by the actual protein and vegetables and fiber that you put on your plate, and often comes with negotiating and justification. Let me tell you, justification is a
Mhm.
sneaky little saboteur that we see in our office all the time. We often want to justify why we're doing something. We say this to patients a lot, like you can defend whatever habit, but just realize that in the defense or justification of it, you're getting to keep it, which means you're actually probably not likely to have the behavior change long term that you desire. So if you
Mhm.
want to hold on to the justification and the reason behind doing something, you you will win.
Yeah.
You will absolutely get to keep justifying that. And if you actually desire change, you're going to have to challenge that thinking and really sit with the parts of you that are justifying why you're holding on to doing something a certain way, because there's
Mhm.
something in it for you. This is the thing that people need to understand, is that either way you're getting something from it. You're
Yeah.
getting a desired outcome, but the desired outcome is actually not what you're saying you want or is a value. But the reason you're defending it is because you are deriving something from that. And
Mhm.
so until we start to speak this honestly, and I would say, I think what people hate about us is our ability to sit in the arena of discomfort and really sit in the truth of these pieces and challenge our patients in this thinking, because we want them to really see the truth in this.
Mhm.
What gets very difficult in weight loss is when we feel mystified by our behaviors or our choices or
Mhm.
like things not making sense. So we feel really good when we say like, I'm actually under eating, or I'm not, no, we're probably not tracking all the things that we're doing, or we're defending the act that is preventing us from getting what we say that we want, but
Mhm.
understand that you are getting something from doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
And you
think
might not be ready for the change. You might want
yeah.
to keep defending,
Yeah.
but at least when we're that honest about it, You at least have a level of awareness of like, I'm making this choice. You don't feel powerless over the choice.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm curious to hear what you think about this too, but in reflecting on the heart and the head hunger,
Yeah.
I actually think that the head hunger in a lot of ways is the easier one to
Yeah.
overcome. Because often with head hunger, it's like I'm craving something sweet. I'm craving something salty. I'm craving a crunch, whatever it is, right? And so, okay, feel that sensation, feel the craving. Like that's okay, right? It's okay.
Yeah.
And then often if it's like that evening snacking piece, like we can get creative about doing
Oh,
other things in the evening. Like we can brainstorm, we can get creative. We can replace that habitual. And often with the head hunger, if we just replace that environment, we get rid of that thing, right? Like if the couch is the trigger, go for a walk. Join a yoga class. Go visit with some friends. Like if we get rid of the stimulus, we get rid of the craving. Whereas heart hunger, that's a tricky one.
and I want to just add to this of like another thing patients say to us all the time is the level of food chatter. And I think that's
Mhm.
like the cookies are in the cupboard. Oh my gosh, like I can't just have one. I have to have the whole sleeve. Or is there this constant food noise, this food chatter? And I was
Mhm.
saying to Tara, and I've talked about it with our nurse as well, is like in most cases, there are very rare cases where medical intervention of low dosing of GLP-1s can be very helpful with food noise when there's a genetic like deficiency. But
Mhm.
in 90% of the cases that we see, when we have protein optimization, not just sufficiency, but optimized protein levels, food chatter is completely eradicated. And
Mhm.
so that's like the power of nutrition. And that's why when Tara and I talk about like tracking and understanding these things, it's like it actually doesn't have to be that complex and hard.
This episode is brought to you by our Shed Metabolic Reset program. Look, I know there's a lot of programs out there and it can be very overwhelming, especially when it comes to weight loss and long-term fat loss and finding the right program for you. We have an incredible metabolic reset program, one that does thorough investigative work up front, looking at blood work metrics, helping educate you, a really solid, simple plan to follow in the reset phase, as well as long-term education around how to maintain your weight loss for the long term, how to optimize your health, how to increase metabolic flexibility, and how to build your plate so that you are nourished and the strongest version of yourself. Our program includes a lot of care and support with our integrative healthcare team. It is a medically supported program. We include community support, education support, as well as daily mindset calls. We are all about optimizing your health for the long term. This is the exact program that helped me shed 30 pounds and keep it off for 4 years and counting. So if you feel like a reset is something you would like to consider, a pause to help calibrate, come home to yourself, lower inflammation, boost your energy, learn how to confidently build your plate for longevity, then please head over to poppyclinic.com and you will see that there is a pop-up quiz that will get the process started of seeing if Shed Metabolic Reset program could be for you. If it is, we will connect, and I cannot wait to support you in living the most aligned, harmonious life, one that reclaims peace and confidence in your body and teaches you how to eat for long-term health. I'll see you soon. In some rare circumstances, it is more of a complex situation to navigate. But in most cases, it's like we just actually don't know how to fuel ourselves. And if we've underfueled protein as a great example and overfueled in carbohydrates, and now we've created blood sugar instability and now our blood sugar is crashing, well, that's why we have this drive to eat a different way. Whereas when we optimize protein, the chatter is like eradicated.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with you. I do think habit hunger is an easier conversation and an easier thing for a patient to overcome because you're right. We remove the connected trigger of the head hunger or the habit hunger, right? So sitting on the couch, or it's 8 p.m. So looking at the clock, right? You can put a walk in and you can really change that experience and move on. Like the habit
Mhm.
can be create a new habit.
Yeah.
Where heart hunger becomes challenging, and I would say most hunger we have to navigate is heart hunger,
Yeah.
is that, something we talk about a lot is if we were never taught to manage our emotions, if we were never not manage, process our emotions, alchemize and move through our emotions safely,
Hmm.
it's like everything we talk about, but you don't wake up one day and you're like, you know what? I'm just going to let myself feel grief today. Like, no one wants to do it. It is unsexy, unglamorous, often difficult work. And
Yeah.
so if you've spent your life avoiding big feelings, you have to really get equipped with the right resources to be able to start to navigate that safely, because it is going to feel unsafe. And that is the truth of it.
Mm-hmm.
Heart hunger is this emotional piece of feeling lonely, overwhelmed, underappreciated, bored with life, burnt out, avoiding something, like we're naming everything everybody struggles with. And these things come bubbling to the surface because your body loves you and it wants you to process these things. But if we are not equipped, we're like, nope. I'm going to push that back down there with something, right? I'm going to avoid, I'm going to distract, I'm going to watch reality TV, I'm going to sit, I'm going to, it's it's a difficult one that we work very hard to do our best to figure out.
Yeah. Yeah. It is challenging, and it's in a lot of ways too. And I think about this from a CBT perspective of the thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, right? And when we talk about changing our feelings, right? Like getting out of a rut, right? Often what we're doing is we're stuck in that cycle. We're having, let's say the emotion of feeling lonely. And then our thoughts are, I'm so lonely, nobody likes me. And so what do we do as the result? We eat all the cookies to try to feel better. And then we feel more lonely, and then we feel guilt. And then we're stuck in that same loop, right? And when we talk about CBT and where to intervene, the only part, like when it comes to emotions, thoughts, and behaviors, for emotions, we have about 0% control over the feeling that we have, right? Something happens, we have a feeling. We can't really control that. Maybe we can control the feelings that come after, but that initial feeling is automatic. And then with our thoughts, we have about 50% control, right? So we have automatic thoughts, but then the thoughts that come after, down the line, we can notice them and change them. But with our behaviors, that's where we actually have control. We have 100% control over the actions that we take. It doesn't always feel like that because we pattern out. We have those loops and we get stuck in them. But behavior is truly where we can make a change if we want to permanently shift those emotions and those thoughts. And so it is hard. It is hard to choose a different thing, especially when you're stuck in those patterns. But if we want to feel differently, if we want out of that cycle, we have to choose different actions. And that's, again, really hard to do. And that's where support is so important. It's where community is so important. And community is something we do in everything that we do, including Shed, because we know change is hard, right? And it's so much easier to be able to say to the community, I'm having a really hard day. People share this all the time in the chat,
I
right?
love when they do,
I
actually.
know, it's the best. And they're like, this thing happened at work today, and here's how I would usually respond. And instead of that, here's what I'm doing, right? We're creating new cycles. And then people jump in, oh, I had that too. And here's what helped me. Here's what helped me. It's community. And a part of that community is evidence that other people are doing the thing that you say you want to do. Other people are choosing different actions, and it's causing different emotions and different thoughts. And doing that on your own is very near impossible. You almost need to be immersed in a world and in a community where that is the norm. And that's what people are doing, because it's very hard. It's very hard to change your life and change your identity.
Yeah, I was going to say too, like, I think also isolating ourselves and is almost a justification tactic for some people, is like,
Yes.
I'm the only one who finds this hard. So we're like, it's like a so it's okay if I do it. It's not that big of a deal. my life is really challenging. This situation is really difficult. And so,
Mhm.
we have to watch how we talk to ourselves because you're like, but if we share, like,
Mhm.
I'm thinking of an example where someone wanted something prior to be the completion, even though they'd kept their word to themselves. This is why we talk so much about keeping our word and building self-trust and self-love and worthiness, because in many ways, that is the antidote
Yep.
to feeling lonely or underappreciated or burnt out, right? Is feeling worthy of actually doing the work and and doing it anyways, right? So as one person was inquiring, like, is it that big of a deal? It's just 2 days away. I've kept my word until
Mhm.
now. And everyone piped in like, you're so close. No, it's so worth it. And it was like, I loved the vulnerability. As a doctor, I'm like, why would you do that? But as a human, I'm like, I am
Yeah.
so impressed that you were brave enough instead
Mhm.
of doing the thing. Because what she was choosing is not justifying her actions. She was saying, I am really struggling. This is
Yep.
very hard.
Yep.
And I'm going to actually ask for help instead of just doing
Yeah.
it, and
Yep.
justifying why it's
Help
okay if
me,
I do.
support me, cheer me
I
on.
That's true.
Yeah.
And so to your point, it's like we humans have a natural propensity to isolate in some situations, and we think we know best. A lot of us are like, but and when we resource ourselves with the right tools, like community, like asking and receiving support, which is so refreshing because women tend to just like white knuckle their way through,
Yeah.
and they actually receive that help and overcome the level of confidence and increase self-trust and self-worth for getting through that situation instead of hiding in guilt, shame, justification, whatever it is like such a beautiful thing. And I think part of the reason, and this is the hardest arena, and thank you for articulating it the way that you did with your CBT background, is like it is a behavior change. It is going to require and understand how much control we have over our behaviors. Like you've shared in previous podcasts, we don't have control of our thoughts, right?
Mhm.
Most of our thoughts aren't
Yeah.
conscious.
Yep.
We can work on that, but like most of the time that's running automatically and
Mhm.
can drive certain behavior tactics, especially if those patterns are very ingrained. But when we choose a different way, we're then actively rewiring the brain behavior orchestration, which is so, so powerful. And it's going to take time. And as you were
Mhm.
sharing that, I was like, one kind of sneaky way we try to build that in is really talking to our patients about tracking their macros for upwards of 6 months, not from a place of vigilance, but to truly learn. But choosing to do that every single day and show up for yourself in that way, and staying a part of the community and actively engaging in care at a maintenance rate allows for us to have the opportunity to sit in that, how long it actually takes for behavior change to occur, right?
Mhm.
Is
Mhm.
like we can all get really dopamine filled when we actually do something and there are results. And that can last a long time,
Mhm.
right? That can pull us through initial challenges fairly well. We're well armored, we're well dopamined, we feel really good, we feel really positive, but then something happens and it like throws us off. And unless we are actively working on behavior change and learning to feel, and this is like part of the breath work piece, and like learning to get regulated and feeling safe in our body and being able to withstand healthy boundary setting and healthy communication, and not collapsing at anybody's opposition, that's when we start to see long-term changes occur. And that takes time.
Yeah.
It would be so unusual to see someone be able to do that in a short period of time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think too, a really hard part of the heart hunger is that, and I was just, I had a conversation with a patient about this recently. She was saying that she saw a friend recently, and the friend was talking the way that she always talks and is a bit negative and complaining about certain things and woe is me a little bit. And the patient said, I just had this moment where I was like, I'm not like that anymore. Right.
Mm,
And that's also a hard part of heart hunger, is that when we actually allow ourselves to feel the loneliness and ask for help and feel the stress and get resources and build coping strategies, then that's not your baseline anymore. You don't walk around the world stressed, sad, unhappy all the time, right? And so that's really hard in relationship where that was the vibe. That was the friendship. Right? That was the point of connection, was like, we are the people that complain about this thing. And if you're no longer that person, where do you fit? Who are you? Who are your people? What do you do? How do you connect? And that's exactly why the community matters. That's exactly why maintenance is, and we say like maintenance is now life, and you're gonna have, the hard things are gonna come, right? And what we say about, while people are in shed, while they're in the program, it is a safety bubble, right? It is a safety bubble. And then when you get into maintenance and you get back in the real world, that's it. Like, that is where the tools that you learned need to be implemented to face the hard things, because you will feel lonely again. You will feel sad again. You will feel like that is life. And what do you do when you get there? Though that's the tool. And that's how we permanently make that shift, is actually alchemizing those emotions, understanding how to cope, how to feel the feelings, not run away from them, understanding that you can feel sad and you'll be okay. You'll be okay.
It's a moment.
It's a moment. Yeah. Let it move through you. Talk about it, right? Reach out for help. And that's when I agree, like, love when patients are like, hey, in this moment, I am struggling. Can someone just give me a little pep talk? That's what it's all about.
And how quickly. Because it just shows you how many people are watching the chat. They're like, triage, not important, not important. Someone asks for help, it's like, poof, poof, poof,
Immediate.
poof.
Immediate.
It's beautiful. It's so beautiful.
It is beautiful. It is beautiful. And it's helping people reach that new level where we're not, how many of us are just permanently driven by emotion, right? Where that emotion that we have controls every single aspect and every decision in our day, right? And especially when there's inflammation and cravings are part of that, and we know the cookies are in the kitchen, that's such a recipe. That's a hard way to live, to be just driven by those cravings and driven by those feelings.
Because it always has power over you.
Yeah.
Like, not. It's like you can get everything out of your house. Sure, that's one way initially to manage behavioral change. But if you can't be, it's like an alcoholic, right? Like, if you can get rid of alcohol in the house and they can stop drinking, but if it ever enters in the house and they're constantly consumed, that fixation, that thought fixation actually hasn't been dealt with. Right? It's like that's a kind of behavioral change. And often when I'm speaking about behavioral change, I actually am speaking at that level of intensity, understanding what's at stake. Because if something always has power over you, that you can avoid a situation, but it hasn't been processed. It hasn't been alchemized. It hasn't been worked through in order to have new behavior change.
Yeah. It's so
And
true.
that's the reality of long-term change, which is why you need to put yourself in environments that provide tools and resources for you to be able to access in order to meaningfully change long-term. And that's why most plans fail, because they're not equipped with all the other tools and resources. They might have a successful weight loss solution, and that's great, but like it can't give you the different resources that one would need for long-term behavioral change. Maintenance is always going to be a struggle, because anyone can be in a bubble for a period of time and get results. That shouldn't impress anyone.
Yeah.
Because we can all do it.
Yep. Absolutely.
But like, how do we take what we've learned in that and bring it into our everyday life? And that's where we really need real conversations, and we need to speak of the mindset issues and the dysregulated nervous system, and, understanding nutrition and all these pieces and basic health fundamentals, sleep, fresh air, hydration, because no one taught us this to the level of importance that it needed to be taught at, and how basic. I saw a naturopath put a post today, and I'm going to be critical of it, but she said, if your food is boring, you're doing it wrong. And I thought, wow, that's opposite information than my message.
Yeah.
It's fine, which is fine. She's probably a really great cook and can make healthy food taste extraordinary. Good for you. Where that can run into problems is when we're talking about behavior change. Sometimes we have to do things rinse and repeat, like very basic, because to navigate and calibrate new levels of safety, we have to put in certain things kind of locked and loaded. It's the Steve Jobsing your wardrobe and just wearing black so that you're not putting decision fatigue and things that don't matter.
Yeah.
So I'm going to expand on this for a minute because now I'm kind of riffing, but this is important.
Love.
I put out a post about health minimalism last week. Just feed yourself high protein, high calorie breakfast and just do that every day on repeat and see what the difference is. We don't need 800 supplements. We don't need a 12-step process in the morning. We need to eat breakfast. And like, it can look boring. It can be like, I've eaten the same breakfast, spoiler alert, for 4.5 years.
Yeah.
And I love my dessert. I call it a dessert because that's how much I love it. Breakfast. I love it. And it is a variety of things, but it makes me very happy to eat it. And I feel very satiated by it. And it starts my day off well. And I put this out there. And one of the questions immediately was like, but can I cook my eggs in butter? And I thought, okay, that is a valid question, but we've lost the plot here. And this is how health got so complicated. Health gets complicated because we want to overthink everything and then we worry about the little thing and then we abandon the thing that we were talking about, health minimalism. We lost the plot here, people. It's okay if health is boring and it is okay if all you're focused on is the basics.
Okay, we get it. It is super confusing to figure out how you should be eating, and you've probably been hearing a lot more about increasing your protein consumption. We've got you covered. If you are looking to understand how much protein you might want to consider, then please go check out our calculator. It will help show you what this looks like for your ideal body weight, what that looks like per meal and throughout the day, on days that you're strength training and on days where you're just a normal gal about the town. If you are looking to understand protein a bit better and want to bring that conversation to your regulated healthcare professional, then please go check out our calculator online in the show notes so that you can have a more strategic approach to your nourishment and to your protein levels. Your future self and vibrant energy will thank you.
Because what we have to understand is what you and I talk about all the time is like the real root cause of change. And that is that there's so many other things going on behind the scenes of like our emotional stress, learning how to communicate, process, boundary setting. It's okay if things are really basic and boring for a bit. It doesn't need to be a sexy, beautiful green bowl that's Instagram worthy. Like, I would take more pictures of my food, but it looks the same. Like, because I learned like, oh, I know I actually can do a very good job if I do certain things on repeat. I'm not going to use my vital resources of making decisions on fueling myself. I want to use my brain for other decisions. And that's okay. Someone else can say that's where they want to use their decision, but we only can do so much. And when we understand our capacity, we have to honor that. And there's no shame in keeping things simple on the path of behavior change. So to build then what we're saying is like, okay, well, I'm going to commit. I'm going to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the same time every day. Now you're saying, Michelle, is that head hunger? No, stay with me for a minute. We're fueling ourselves appropriately. We've learned all the things, but we're also trying to create safety in our body so that our body actually can utilize our nutrition appropriately. And it doesn't think we're running away from our bear all the time because we're in such a distressed state, right? So just keep it simple and keep certain fundamentals like very rudimentary while you're learning. Most people were never taught how to set a boundary. They were never taught what to do when they feel sad or lonely or overwhelmed. And if we were to be very honest, most of us spend most of our time feeling these sensations, pretending we're not feeling them, not knowing what to do with them. And then we want like a 12-step process and a new supplement to save our life. And it cannot work. It's too complicated. Yeah. When did health get when did it get so hard that we needed to actually use devices to know how we are feeling than actually just sitting in stillness for a minute and be like, how am I actually feeling?
Yeah. And two, why is it that all of our joy should come from food? Yes, food is part of celebrations. Absolutely. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about let's actually help you have a more joy-filled life so that you are not relying on food to be the source of joy in your day. Food can be boring. That's okay. We are trying to nourish your body. Let's get that piece down pat and actually help you set the boundaries, actually help you move through those emotions so that you can find more joy through connection that feels really good to you, through moving your body or being part of a team or a club or something. Like, there are so many avenues for joy. We don't need to only rely on food to fill that bucket.
Things are hard enough. It is okay if things are simple.
Yeah.
It is okay if things are basic. And it is okay to derive, like, I love your reframe. Like, it doesn't need to be, yes, we need to learn to navigate, but what we see is the honesty of where people collapse their joy with food or the celebration when it has nothing to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually they don't know how to set a boundary or communicate that they want to navigate this differently, or it has nothing to do with the cake, respectfully. If it did, we'd all have this figured out, right? So it's like, no, in this situation, let's just expand on this, like heart hunger. It's a celebration. You want to partake. It's your kid's birthday. It's a joyous event. Your whole family is there. It's like, can we derive joy from other parts of what is happening in that moment versus the actual thing that maybe doesn't make you feel that good afterwards, or throws your blood sugar off, or throws you into a tailspin? Can you derive joy from the eye contact that you're making, from the genuine connection or hugs that you're having with family members, the hand holding, the joy, the watching it in your child's eyes, enjoying all of that love and celebrate, right? Can we expand the horizon of where we're deriving these sensations from versus being solely focused? Is you're saying I'm not allowed to have that? First of all, no one's saying that, but like, that's where we get stuck. And then we start to justify behavior because like, I deserve this, as if you're missing out. When did it become this? When did food have so much power over our lived experience?
Yeah. 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 There was a patient we had, and she was going to a celebration, and this was a while ago, and she said, she was in the program. There were a few things that she was not supposed to have in the program, and she made the decision that she wasn't going to. And that's exactly what she said. She said, I chose instead to focus on the cute outfit that I got to wear and the conversation that I was so excited to have, right? There's so many other beautiful aspects aside from the cake or whatever, and have the cake if you want the cake. Like, that's, again, not even the point. But there's so much opportunity for joy if we let ourselves get curious about that. How can we have more joy in this encounter or this experience or whatever it is, right? Like, reframing that for ourselves, and we can create that feeling of joy. Food can create that. It causes dopamine. It creates all of that, those hormonal connections, but we can do that through connection. And we live in a world where we've never been so disconnected, ever. We are truly starved for connection and overfed in other areas. We are overfed in food because we're trying to fill the void that connection is poised to fill. That's actually the medicine. That's the food we need. That's the nourishment, is connection.
Well, and this is the thing, and comes back to one of the other conversations we had prior, is like, you don't wake up with the ability to experience joy if you've cut yourself and you've sacrificed it your entire life. You don't have a playbook. You don't have the muscle memory. So it's like, of course, you're looking to one thing that's like an easy default thing that the world has decided is the source. Like, it is a societal epidemic, really.
Yeah.
And when we then recognize, like, okay, there are other things here that could be at play. Well, how do I start to build in social connection, to your point? How do I build in not feeling overwhelmed or underappreciated? Well, could I, do something different? Could I engage in a hobby? Could I learn a new skill? Could I do something that gives us a new muscle memory of a different pathway of like, okay, you know what? I am feeling a bit lonely. And the one thing I have access to is once a week, I'm going to send a heartfelt text or phone call to someone I love and let them know I appreciate them. Why don't I just pour into somebody else what I wish I would get back. Well, what's that going to teach someone to do? What is that going to, and don't even do it for that reason. Just see what happens. But we are so devoid. You're right. Like community is so poised. I love the way that you said that, to fill that joy cup. Yet we deprioritize social connection as if it doesn't matter. So when work priorities become essential, when kids' activities have gone through the roof in terms of the familial expectation of which you should be available to drive these young children around to their whatever sports, like it's gone bananas. Whereas you could just say, I'm going to say no to the madness. And actually our family did this. Our daughter was invited to be a company member. She wanted to be a company member and we declined. And we said, we prioritize family dinners and that is a value to us. And so thank you so much. And no is an answer, right? Like I know this can feel like a lot and that might be triggering a lot of people, but Michelle, my kids are in AAA hockey. Sure. It's a choice, but understand that every choice has a consequence. These are the realities, is like all these decisions are making us feel maybe underappreciated, overwhelmed. And so then what do we do with that sensation? Do we actually look for a solution for the source of the underappreciation or overwhelm? Or do we look to something else to provide what we're not getting? So to your point, if we're feeling lonely, and we're using food to feel some kind of joy or fulfillment from that, when community is perfectly poised to be the solution, why are we looking for the wrong, like, are we using the wrong solution? And I think that what has become is we are so overfed, to your point. Very poetic today, Tara. But we are overfed in so many ways and not looking for the correct antidote to the root cause.
Yeah.
And we all know food is easy. It's just an easy default thing that has been societally normalized to be used in that way. And it's a misuse and it's not going to create a long-term satiation. So you still hunger for the thing you actually desire.
You still hunger. It's so true. It's so true. And it's choose your hard, right? I'm sure there's people listening to this who are like, that sounds hard. It sounds like
It is hard.
it is. And
do you think imagine looking at your child's eyeballs when you've said no?
Yeah.
The no is an answer.
And it is hard. No one is saying that it is not hard. And it is also hard to continue on living the way that you are living. Choose your hard. Choose your hard. Everything is a decision and every decision has consequences. And so that's it, right? It's what are you choosing? And also choose it proud, right? If you're going to make that choice, whatever the choice is, go all in. Go do that thing, right? If you're living your life and it feels hard, but it's serving you in some way, okay. But then don't pretend that you want something different because that'll throw you way out of alignment, way out. And patience, it's just, it's not easy. It's not easy to change your life and to change these habits. Habits are habits, right? Like they're habits because you do them all the time. It's hard to break that. It's hard to do something else, but maybe it's not working anymore.
I think what you said is brilliant. I can't stand 1 foot in, 1 foot out energy. I think that's where justification comes in. Like, but I'm trying, but like, are you go all in? And I admire your stance on this. I think it needs to be said more. It's like when you have a level of awareness, like I'm choosing this behavior because it is serving me right now. So go all in.
Yeah.
Do the thing.
Yeah.
But don't pretend you're like half doing it. You say you want the other thing. You're half doing that and expecting a different result. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. It's not going to happen and it's going to make you crazy. And it's what creates the mystification. I said to a patient recently, she was like, I thought this would be going different. And I said, why? You're not doing the things you said you're not keeping your word to yourself. Why would you expect that? She was like, I don't know. Like, well, the mystification is what allows us to stay unaccountable.
Yeah.
I don't know why this is happening. I am a victim to the circumstance. This isn't, no. You made the decision. Yeah. The result is a consequence of making the decision. People don't like when we talk like this, by the way, but it needs to be said. It needs to be said.
And that's why it needs to be
said. It's where the rubber meets the road, as they say.
Yeah.
It's the decision point.
Yeah.
It's the final decision maker of like, no, 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 said with love. This keeps happening because you keep acting in this way. And the second you stop doing it, guess what? It stops happening.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is that simple. And that line, the certain lines, I kind of want to stab myself in the head because I say them so often, but like the truth is simple, but it is not easy. What we're saying is going to take effort.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's not easy, which is why you need support, which is why you need other resources, which is why you need new tools
Mm.
and accountability and all those pieces. The truth is simple.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really it's so
Really.
simple. And
Mm.
when you start to get that, and my life changed when I fully accepted that. These behaviors are driving these results. If I don't want these results, I change the behaviors. When I change the behaviors, I get new results. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the beauty of this is that it is that simple. I don't know where I was. Anyways, but untethered soul, it's almost insulting to our intelligence because the truth of behavior change and how our brain works is disgustingly simple. But then you're like, wow, I have overcomplicated everything in my life. And so it takes a level of humility
Mm-hmm.
to understand the madness that you've created,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love when we ruffle feathers because we're
I
so
love
clear about this. We're so clear though that this is so not for everyone. And it's like you said, like we don't do lukewarm. It's like if this is for you, you know. You know. And if it's not, you
you
probably turn
also
this
know.
off. You're
Oh,
probably
I
not even
get
here
that. You
anymore.
also know. Yeah, but you also know.
You also know, right? And like we actually want that level of clarity for our patients. Because if you are someone that is 1 foot in, 1 foot out, respectfully, go elsewhere. It's
It would
not,
work.
it's like we are in the business. Like, and I said this to a patient recently, this program will change your life if you let it. And she's like, I am so glad I let it. And yes, well, it really will. It really will because we truly are. We're changing all the things. We're changing all the patterns. We're holding you accountable. We're giving you the tools, but you have to want it. You have to want it. And it has to be right for you. And we're so clear about that. And we turn people away all the time. And we say no. And we respectfully tell people, it's not right for you. It's not the time. It's not this. It's not that. Because we are so committed to holding people to a standard that is important because self-trust and that piece of integrity, that's the key. That's the key for maintenance. And you have to trust yourself when some of those habits come back in to be like, okay, I noticed that this is happening. And you know what? This is not the way I want to live. And I know that I actually have different strategies. Let me book an appointment, reach out and get some help while I feel some of these good habits slipping. Let me reach out to the community, right? It's that piece of integrity and self-trust and knowing that you can have a few hard days. You can fall off the wagon, as they say, but you can come back because you trust yourself to know the things. That is so important. And that is success in maintenance because it's never going to be easy and life is going to life and hard things are going to happen. And it's when you fall off because you will, what do you do next? That's important.
Yeah. Yeah. And no one is devoid of these difficult decisions. You make those decisions every day. I make those decisions. The reason the weight never came back for me is because I understood the level of change that was required in
Mm.
everything that I did. It wasn't just like I eat adequate protein. No, I do let myself sleep. I had to change my entire business structure and schedule in order to honor feeling good in my body. I had to go like it affects every part of our lives. And I love your level of certainty in that. It's such a good reminder. Like this isn't for everybody.
Mhm.
And it will change your life when the time is right, when you understand what's at stake. And I mean, everything I've learned is being addiction adjacent and knowing life choices people have to make to not engage in the same behaviors that they were using to cope with difficult emotions prior. And
Mhm.
That is the truth of the work that we do. We get the results that we get because we take your health and your behavior change incredibly seriously, and we hold you to a standard. And so understanding different types of hunger and understanding actual hunger and deciphering the rest and giving you not only the self-awareness of that, but the tools and the community to armor you, to help equip you for how you're going to navigate your life after that is so fundamentally important to us, that this is our sole focus. Like this is what we learn to better every day so that we can be of service to our patients, but our patients understand also their level of investment in what they're doing. And that's how we get the behavior change. And so, yeah, the hunger conversation is a really important one and allows for us to have a vocabulary and an awareness of what things can come up for us as we navigate through any stage, but mostly maintenance, in terms of long-term. I mean, this can come up at any time, but like a bubble is a bubble. But learning to take what you learn from that bubble and utilize those information and tools for navigating difficult things is what really separates those who have long-term behavioral change and those who do not.
Absolutely. And it's just like you said, right? You can lose weight. You can lose weight in any plan, any weight loss protocol. But are you being armored with those tools for maintenance? And when we say that, it comes down to, are you getting that emotional support and tools and strategies and actually teasing these parts apart with the head hunger, with the heart hunger? Like, if a program is not talking about those things, not giving you tools and strategies and resources, you're going to struggle in maintenance, because it is the behavioral change. Like, that is what weight loss is. If we really boil it down, it's actually not like, yeah, sure, it is macros and calories, for sure. But what it really is behavior change long term. And that's the secret. That is the secret of sustainable weight loss. It is behavioral change.
Absolutely. Yep. So if that feels like something you want to be supported in and guided in and have the tools necessary, connect with us. There are guides that you can download for free in our show notes, protein calculators. You can go to poppyclinic.com and fill out, if you live in Ontario, and fill out our little pop-up quiz on just starting the conversation around learning more for SHED. And we'll send you all the information you need. We host a live masterclass, whether in person or virtual, every month. And so there are many opportunities in which you can sit with Dr. Tara or I to learn more. We're happy to pop on to a discovery call and talk through your own individualized concerns, because as you could probably just hear, the level of commitment we have to your health and your journey and your success is high. And so you want to make sure that you're making this decision informed and with abundant clarity. Because there's no looking back. This is the final stop to transforming your health long-term and finding long-term strategies and behavior changes and new tools to meaningfully shift for the long-term, not for a period of time.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here, everyone. We'll see you next time. Stay wild.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Wild Medicine. I am so grateful to have you here, and I hope you're feeling inspired and empowered. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star rating. It helps us reach more incredible women just like you. And before you go, quick reminder, the information shared on this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose or treat any medical condition. Please consult with your healthcare provider for personalized advice and care. And if you're ready to take inspired action and dive deeper into your own health journey, please visit us at poppyclinic.com. Let's rewild and reset your health together.